Hi viewers, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the second part of episode 9 for pipe shells in the mini-series for FreeCAD Curves Workbench. Now this is a demonstration and a bit more in-depth knowledge of using the pipe shell tool. So we're going to be looking at 3 examples in there: a cylinder with a foot on the end, so creating that foot out of a pipe shell, that's out of a single line. We're looking at open pipe, more or less a slide that's in a helix, in a spiral. So we're doing that again with a single line, and then we're going to be looking at profiles to create a hollowed out pipe. So that's 2 profiles in there, one to create the first pipe as a solid, another one to create the second pipe as a solid, using those 2 along the same helix to allow a hollow solid pipe to be created that liquid can pass through. So I hope you're enjoying these, and let's have a look at these examples and a bit more in-depth knowledge into this tool. If you like this video, please hit a like and also subscribe to the channel. I also have a Ko-Fi site where you can actually donate to my contributions to the community, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. So for this example, I'm in the part and I'm going to create a new document in there. I'm going to create a cylinder in there. And what I want to do is I want to take this edge of the cylinder and create a lip on here. So we could use it for like a foot, or if we want to place something inside the lip, we can do that. Now we can do this quite easily in the Curves Workbench and using the pipe shell. And what we need to do is come in and we need to create a curve on this edge here. Now you can do that in many ways, but I'm going to use the freehand B-spline there. I won't get into too much with this tool in this episode because I'll be going through it in another episode later, but we're just going to be doing something very simple with that. You first want to select on this edge, see it's highlighted, where you want the profile to sit. So I want it to sit on that edge there. And then you click the Create B-spline tool. That will attach it to that edge. See, we've zoomed out and we can move these across. Now we're in edit mode at the moment, so you can see that the B-spline here, sitting here, if I double click that, that will apply that a change. So I need to double click it to actually edit it. Now the best idea is to come to the top, because the projection of this will change the X, Y and Z location of these points. So if I'm working from the top, then I'm only projecting in one direction, and I know this can be flat. So I know that hasn't changed anything along the Z axis, because the Z is pointing straight up. It's still the same as where it was before because we clicked on top. We're only modifying the X and Y. So I'm going to bring these in, and I want a small lip on here. Now I'm going to flip this around and click on the front, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to pull these down so you can see how that's curving up. I'm just going to put a bit of rotation on that, see how that is. So that's fine. That's what I want. Double click the B-spline and that will apply it. You can see our handlers are gone. If we double click it again, we can edit it. Double click the B-spline and that's all applied. We're going to use that as a profile. Now to use this as a profile, you need to select the B-spline from the screen. Don't select it from the combo view. Otherwise the profile won't work. So select it from the screen and then click Create a Profile Object for Pipe Shell. So click that, we get a profile here. For this tutorial, that's all we need. We only need one profile. What you need to do now is select the profile from the combo view. Don't select it from the screen. And then from the screen, you select the edge. And we'll rotate that around that edge. So now you need to click the Create a Pipe Shell Sweep object, and that will sweep that around that edge. If it doesn't look like this, then you need to come into the pipe shell and come down to mode. You can see I've got it set to discrete trihedron. Drop this down, we've got FreeNet there, and if I go to fixed dihedron, you can see that's different and it's not the effect we want. So if you've got that kind of effect, just come down change from fixed trihedron to discrete, and you'll get that. Let's change this now so we get a surface on here. So we look at the output, we've got the sections, and we can change that to surface, like so. Or we could even change it to lofted surface. I'm going to stick with surface for the moment. So now we've got that, all we need to do is come over to the part, make sure our pipe shell is selected, and look for the 3D offset, which is here, tools offset shape. We can drop that down and use the 3D offset, or up to part, come down to 3D offset, and we can make that thick by using a fill offset like so, and we can change the offset as well. I can change it to 1.1 like so. I can send it the other way by doing a pipe and doing it minus, so it goes the other way like so. And then when I OK that, you can see that's been applied to that shape. If we want to, we can change the profiles in here. We've only used one profile, but we can use two or as many as we like in here. So for instance, if I want this oval, then I'll create larger profiles at the ends. Let's come in, let's get rid of that pipe shell. We've still got the profile sitting there, which is in blue here. And I'm going to create another profile here. So if I come into curves, and we're going to go to top, I'm going to use the same tool, the freehand B-spline. I'll just create one there. You can see if you don't select an edge, it will create it at the center. Let's get rid of that. Just double click it first, so it's out of edit mode, and then hit delete. So I want it attached to this edge, and I want it attached to, if I go top, I want it attached to about here. And create one there. So you can see it's created there. Hit top, and we'll bring this around. I'm going to have this slightly bigger than this one. That'll do, double click it. That takes effect then. And I'm going to put some lip on this as well. I'm not going to mirror this one. I'm just going to do something different with this one, so it's not going to be as deep a curve as this one. So I'm going to come around to the right, double click it, and we're just going to give it a slight curve in here. Double click. Now we've got that in position. I'm going to click it. Remember, you have to click it from the screen and then click create a profile object in pipe shell. That's a profile object now. So at the moment we've only got two profiles in there. If we select one of the profiles and then select the other and then select the edge and use the pipe shell, you can see that's deformed that profile already. So we look at it from the side, you can see how that's been deformed just by going through those profiles. Place another profile on this side, then that will be deformed through there. So you can see how you can change the angle and the deformation of that surface. So click on your pipe shell, output, and we can go surface, or we could use the lofted sections. And then come down, and you can see we can make it solid if we so desire. So that's changed that now, but you can see that profile's popped out. So let's change that back to surface. So we're going to go back in, click on the pipe shell, select the sections to surface. It's back to normal now, and now I'm going to add a 3D offset. So I'm going to select the pipe shell, come over to the part, and then once we're in the part and create primitive part design, also use this tool here. There we go, and use the 3D offset Helix, and there we go. Now I'm just going to create one, close. I've got the Helix here, select a Helix. Let's alter the parameters here. So I'm on the data tab, and we've got the angle, which I'm going to increase so it actually flares outwards. And we're going to increase the pitch, or decrease the pitch, and increase the height slightly, increase the radius, and increase the angle a bit more. So I'm in the part, so we're going to come over this shape here. I'm going to jump over to the curves workbench, and I'm going to select the helix, increase the point size, because I want to attach something to one of these points. I want to attach a curve. So come down, look at the view, and we got object style, and we come down to the point size, and we'll increase that. So you can see now we've got an increase in point size here, so we can select that point very easily. Now I'm going to select right, so I've selected the right. Actually, I want it around this way, so I'm going to select rear. So I'm going to create the line out this way, or the curve. So I've selected that point, click on the freehand B-spline, and that will attach it to there. Let's pull these in. So I'm selecting the point and pulling that in. So I can zoom in. Let's create our shape. So I want a small curve on here. Something like that. And in fact, let's make a dip, like so. So we've got that there. Double click the freehand B-spline there, so we've got that applied. So that's sitting there like that. Now we need to select the freehand B-spline. So click that B-spline there. Don't select it from the combo view. You must select it from the screen. Click on create a profile object for pipe shell. And now if we bring this over, shrink it down a bit, place a little bit of angle, and we have to select the profile from our combo view. Come over and select each of these coils from the helix, holding down control on that one, and then click the pipe shell. So that's created that pipe shell in there. Now I'm going to convert that to a solid straight away. Come in, look at the data, click on the pipe shell, output sections, and convert it to a surface. Sorry, I said solid before. That doesn't look right to me at the moment. The curve is going the wrong way, so this should be down the bottom. So rather than going around the side, it should be actually curving out this way. So I click on the pipe shell, come down to the mode. Let's try fixed. That's better, but it's still not right. You can see we've got some deformation there as well. So it probably needs a binormal. So let's come down and binormal. And that's better. So we can see we've got that shape now. And then we can extrude that. So come over to the part. And actually I'm going to click on the profile, just hit space to hide it. We've got these points still, so this is the helix. Let's hide that as well. Makes life a lot easier. And let's try the 3D offset. 3D offset. And that's not going to allow me to do a 3D offset on that. So if I OK that, see we've got the end collection list first. Cancel that. So we're going to do a extrude. And looking at a handler, Z is upwards, so we're going to do an extrusion along the Z. I'm going to make that 0.5 millimeters because we didn't take any notice of the scale when we created this. Click on the Z and come down. We haven't selected anything here, so let's select the pipe shell and okay that. So we've got the extrude. That extrude was a bit too much. Let's click on the extrude, come down, length forward 0.1, hit that. There we go. That's better. So we've created quickly a helix that has a profile that runs along there, and used the pipe shell and extrude. So we could quite easily create something like an Archimedes screw with that technique, quite easily. Let's try something different. So let's get rid of the extrude and the pipe shell, profile, the spline, and just leave the helix there. Jump over to the sketch, and we're going to create something along one of these points, a profile along one of these points. You can use the bottom point again here. Let's have a look, see where this is going to position that. Let's click that bottom point and add the sketch. And we're going to do it on translate. Let's see where that puts us. We can always move it. So let's put us there. We can always move the sketch. And I'm going to place a profile along there, but I'm going to place a circle along there this time. So it's a closed piece of geometry. Close that, that circle's there. Click on the sketch, look at the placement, look at the angle. So let's place that at 90 degrees and change the axis from Z, Y, and 0 off the Z. Let's try X. Place an X, there we go. That's along X. Let's go in that way. Jump over to the curves workbench. We're going to select that as the profile. And we're going to click on profile pipe shell. So that's a profile now. Now click the profile and then control click each of these parts, each of these pieces of geometry, and use the pipe shell. So you can see what's happened there. It's placed all those around that helix. And take the pipe shell, we can change the samples if we so desire, so 200, hit enter. You can see how those follow around that. And they've changed the angle as well as they go around. You don't get that, again, come into the mode and changed it to something like fixed. And you can see what happens there. The profiles aren't correct. They're not following that angle. So let's try normal. And there we go. So that's following that angle quite nicely. And then we click on the pipe shell, output as a surface. It's output as surface, so we've got a pipe. And we can come down and see where it says solid, so that's true. And now we've got a solid pipe, runs all the way through there. If we wanted the pipe to have thickness but have an internal, then we can actually change that in there. So we can use two profiles then. So I'm going to come into this sketch and I'm going to create a sketch in here. So I'm going to come into this internal in here. Now this isn't going to affect the profile at all because the profile was done on the selected. So this is the reason why you select it from this screen. Show that sketch. And I'm going to come into the pipe shell and instead of solid, I'm going to make this false. So we can see inside that, and that sketch there, which is part of the sketch point, just selected that edge. Going to make that a profile. And now we select the profile. Let's hide that pipe shell first, that's better. So we're going to select that profile, the internal profile there. And then I can select, well, can't select it from the screen, I have to select it over here. And then I'm going to control select each of these twists of this helix, like so. And then do the pipe shell through there. So the pipe shell, let's increase the number of samples to 200. And output, got sections there. Do a surface, like so. Bring back the other pipe shell. So now we have two pipe shells. We want to create a surface in here. So now we have those two pipes, one inside each other. What I need to do is create this as a solid. So I want a walled pipe. At the moment, we've got two shells or two surfaces in here. To create this as a solid is quite easy. We need to be in the part. So I'm in the part at the moment. Let's just switch over to the part. And I've got the two pipe shells here. Now, if you click on the pipe shell down the bottom, all the way down, you've got mode, you've got settings here. We've got this solid. So if we change this to true, that becomes a solid that we can do Boolean operations upon in the part workbench. Do the same with the other pipe shell. Come down to solid, set that to true. We now need to select the one that we want to keep, and we're going to create a cut between these two. Select the one we want to keep, the one we want to extract, and then use the make a cut of two shapes or part Boolean cut. And what will happen is that we'll get a solid object with the internal pipe that's been removed from there. So you've got a void for liquid to flow through there. And if we look up the top and come into this side, you can see we've got a bit of a problem there that didn't actually remove from there. So if that happens, just backtrack. And if we look at that profile, you can see that part of that is sticking out and part of it isn't. So we've got a bit of a problem there. What we could do is create a secondary helix and do this part on that secondary helix and make sure that helix is jutting out the bottom there. Or we can come in, make these two solid again. You can see how that's jutting out there. We'll select the one that we want to keep, the one that we want to remove, do the cut, and then we can come in, place a square upon there, just change its size, so length of 0.2, working such a small scale here, and 0.5. Right click, transform, and we'll just bring this up. There's other ways you can do this. I'm just going to create a Boolean operation to remove part of this pipe and change this 0.1. Come into the model and we're looking at the width, change that to 0.5. Okay, that, and one we want to keep, which is the cut, one we want to remove, which is the cube, control select that, and do the cut between those two. And then we've taken the end off. So you ever come across that, you can easily resolve that. And that void runs all the way through that pipe. So there's a circular pipe across a helix. Obviously we're not restricted to circles. These can be any shape you want. It can be squares. It can be some kind of rail that goes through there. So we could have a square piece of metal with a notch cut out the side, so that runs all the way along here. It's up to you what you want to do. So in our next video, episode 10, we'll be using a number of curves, connecting them up as a network and skirting a N.U.R.B surface across them. This is known as a Gordon surface. Now an application for this I've already shown before on my channel, and that is to create a car body. And that's creating it from the top and side, and also we've got the front in there as well that we used. And we used a number of curves for that car body and connected them up with a Gordon surface. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to my site. And also I have a Ko-Fi site where you can actually donate a few pence or a few pounds, dollars, or whatever your currency is. And that's at ko-fi.com/mang0. And there you'll be able to help me fund my site, and all the money that I actually get from any funds will actually get pushed back into the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing. I'll see you next time.